Well, Ron and Jean, we're glad to have you here today to talk about Colony Bank's formative years. Y'all were there from the beginning, and you have an important story to tell. So I'm just going to start off by asking, how did the idea for the new bank come about?
I had started a business and making peanut inverters, and the demand for those things was such that I needed to borrow money to have inventory where it could get out and get sold, and none of the banks here would allow me to go on up and do that. So I came with an idea and talked with Jean about it. Maybe we just need to start a bank, and so that's what we did. Mm-hmm. And so we started to looking around town. We needed 9 other people to go with it. So we got your dad and his partner in business, folks like that just came on board and helped us. And we've made an application to the state, and they awarded it to us.
What's your recollection about how long that process took once you had the idea, started bouncing it off Jean, and when you were ready to make that application? Do you have a feel for it?
It was around a year from the very start.
Right.
Because to start with, before I even started a bank, I went to the 2 or 3 banks that were here,
Right.
And because I knew mine was a brand new business, starting it up and that sort of thing, and I realized they were taking a chance if they put money out there.
Right.
But it was interesting then when I went to the state, and they said, "Oh yeah, we'll pick you up and let you go with it." So yeah. We got the other folks, and we wound up with 10 of us together, to be the original board.
What kind of people were you looking for? What was kind of the thought process for that?
That's a good question. A good point is that when we were sitting and looking at it, I said we want to have a farmer, we want to have a big businessman downtown, and that was like Mr. Mann. He had a business going there. Just up till we had 9 other people. I made the 10th one, so to speak.
Right.
Then I had Jimmy Paulk worked for me, and I had him doing a lot of the legwork, getting around like that. So we decided. He said, "Well, let me be on there too." So that's why we chose Jimmy to be on there, because he had just done so much work toward that, of getting it approved.
Y'all were relatively young men at the time, but Jimmy was
he had just gotten out of college,
so he was a very young man.
Yeah.
Probably
he's 4 or 5 years younger than me.
Yeah. And but so that was part of it, is getting a younger age person.
Yeah, we had Dr. Roberts. We wanted the medical profession and automobile profession and farming, so, and that was just the way I wanted to make sure that we didn't just have all coming from one neighborhood.
Right.
It would make it, and it did. It just turned out beautifully the way everything, all the guys came together.
Yeah.
It has truly turned out to be wonderful, and Hugh Turner has done a good job.
Yeah.
A very good job.
When he decided, it came to us and said, we just need to expand this thing. So that's when he got the first expansion,
right?
Going, and that has grown unbelievably then as time's gone on.
Right.
Now we're close to 40 units, I think, right?
Yeah. There's I think 37.
38.
Yeah,
something.
that's
How
right.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And that's amazing to do that in 50 years.
That idea of expanding and moving into other communities was that something the board came to agree on pretty quickly, or was there
pretty quick.
Some apprehension?
He was the one that came up with the idea,
right,
and decided that's what we need to do. So as we went to that, but it was, everybody started to grow in real strong,
Quickly.
you know.
Yeah.
And so it started to grow, and that was very good, interesting to see all the work you've done all of a sudden turns into a big organization, you know.
Right.
So that's where we were.
Yeah. You know, there was for some period of time, the banks operated that were acquired operated under their same name.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a point where it was decided that they needed to all have a common name so that we knew they were part of, you know, the one organization. And so that's when you had to come up with what that name was going to be.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be Colony Bank.
Colony Bank.
What do you remember about that? How that decision came about?
I just remember it being presented, you know, and it the growth that we had already had. I could see that having it all one bank system sound like out there would actually increase the people wanting ownership in it and that sort of thing. So I think that was a very good decision to go in that direction with it.
Yeah, well, and of course, Colony is a common reference for the town of Fitzgerald, and known as the Colony
Yeah.
City.
Right.
So that seemed like a natural name to use for the bank to
Exactly.
identify
Yes.
it as
Yes.
well.
Right.
And of course, it stood the test of time, and I can say from being a part of the organization for a number of years now, there may be another Colony Bank, but I hadn't run into it
One
yet.
bank,
You
yeah,
know, it's
yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
unique
Yeah.
name as well. So it's served us well, and I think of us being a pioneer in many ways.
Yeah.
Y'all were
Exactly.
pioneers to start the bank, so it kind of embodies our attitude as well. So what, in talking about this approaching 50-year milestone, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, of course, it's been very successful, and of course, I think all the people that have bought stock in it realize that, you know, that they pay a good dividend, and of course, it's like any other stock. One year it'll be $5 up, next year it'll be $5 down, but you know, it keeps going from that standpoint, and I've enjoyed, you know, knowing all that.
Yeah.
But then, of course, I'm right at 90 years old now, and I just decided I need to kind of back off, and so I'm not involved in serving in a position anymore. But I still enjoy getting the reports and everything, and see where we are
Right.
doing that.
Yeah. So what final thoughts about Colony Bank, and starting from what it started out as and has become today? Any final thoughts that you've got about the bank and its success?
Well, just hoping that the people that are on the board understand that it's not a singular thing. It's a multi issued business you got to deal with, and we've had a pretty good job done of that, you know, as time went on, and so I think if we had, you know, if they come back and say, well, we need to put another bank in X number of town, and I think I see a little bit of evidence of going to other states.
Yes. Yeah, we have offices now in Birmingham, and more recently in Tallahassee, Florida.
My goodness.
So we
Great.
finally have crossed over state lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Two directions.
Yeah, two
Yeah.
different directions. That's right.
But that's Yeah, I think that's good, you know.
Right.
We've loved how it's grown in such a wonderful direction. Historically, it's grown because there's somewhat a deep understanding in the South that you continue this behavior, and to think that this little bank has grown in that way. When I heard Colony Bank, I said, oh, that's perfect. That is
Because the name was used a lot in town for other,
Yes. Yes,
businesses.
it's used all over town.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're continuing that spirit of keeping the Southern love, honesty, and all like that we get from our bank. So I am thrilled to death over our Colony Bank.